Hello world, Cozzy here with this week's roundup of Geek Movie news. Starting off this week with Tintin 2. Now, Tintin 2 is already on its way, according to producer Kathleen Kennedy. She has told Collider this week that she is already working with Steven Spielberg on a script, which should be finished around March of next year, and that they are looking at a release date at some time around Christmas in 2014. This is great news for the series. Obviously the first one has been a huge success, and it's a great news for any Tintin fans out there. There is Tintin 2 on its way. It could be in cinemas around 2014. News from Joe Cornish this week about his and Edgar Wright's work on the AntMan movie for Marvel Studios. Now, first off, apparently they have given a redraft of the script to Marvel to have a look at, and Edgar Wright is definitely going to be directing this movie. As far as I'm concerned, this needs to go into production as soon as possible. There's this big budget, massive superhero movie. It's a team up movie. It's out next year, and it's missing Ant-Man, and the name escapes me. That's right, the Avengers. He's an original member guy. How is he not in this movie? So yeah, I'm hoping this is getting put into production ASAP, and we get an Ant-Man movie, and we finally see Hank Pym in maybe Avengers 2. More news from the world of Marvel this week. This time about Thor II. Now, it's been confirmed that Patty Jenkins has now left the project. Now, she's the director that replaced Kenneth Branagh to direct the sequel to Thor. She's left apparently due to creative differences, but on very amicable terms. And she's actually stated she is open to the idea of coming back and working with Marvel on another project in the future, which is good. I said at the time I thought she was a good replacement for Branagh, and my opinion on this hasn't changed. But yeah, Jenkins has officially left the project. Marvel has apparently drawn up a shortlist of 2 directors that they would now like to take on this sequel to Thor, and they are Alan Taylor and Daniel Minahan. So they're the 2 that Marvel has in line for replacing Jenkins. Both of those have directed episodes of Games of Thrones, which obviously Jenkins has also worked on. So they have an idea of this sort of fantasy setting that Branagh has created from the Marvel comic universe. There's also some rumours that Marvel are looking for a new screenwriter to sort of dust over, do a couple of rewrites on the script for this Thor sequel. And there's been 3 main names that have been banded around. They are Robert Rodat, Roger Avery, and most exciting of all for me, maybe not so much for you, but for me, John Milius. They're the 3 names that Marvel's looking for, and I would really like to see Milius involved. If you don't know about him, then I do say you Wikipedia him, because this guy's got some serious credentials when it comes to screenwriting and directing, so it could be a dual project for him. So yeah, Marvel's making some changes when it comes to Thor 2. Comic book news has some reports about the Batcave in the upcoming Batman movie, The Dark Knight Rises. Now, firstly, they've said that it will be having some upgrades. There'll be a massive generator, there'll be a lot more lighting, there'll be a very much bigger Bat computer in the central area of the Batcave. They've also stated that there'll be an area with all of Batman's technology and weaponry, as well as a cabinet containing both of the Batsuits. Now, this is a big thing, obviously, the sort of amount of tech that this character has now got 3 movies in, and it needs somewhere to go. Obviously, in the comic books it goes in the Batcave, so why not utilise that facility? They've also stated that the Batcave will see a lot more scenes filmed within it than was seen in the previous movie, which is good, utilising an area that is important to the mythos and important to the fans. One thing I'd like to say to Warner Brothers is, I know it doesn't fit in with Nolan's adaptation of the Batman mythos, but I really want to see the giant dinosaur and the giant penny. Is that just me? Is that just me? Am I the only one who wants to see that? I mean, it's something that when you think of the Batcave, there are 2 things that you think. If they're not going to do that, then why not have trophies of the previous villains that he has captured, just as a nod to the fact that in the comic books this is something Bruce Wayne does. But yeah, giant dinosaur, giant penny, guys. just my opinion. Stan Lee's recent comic book creation, The Annihilator, is making its way to the big screen. Now, Dan Gilroy is going to be working on it. He was the screenwriter of Real Steel. And for those of you who don't know anything about the character is a Chinese man who is given superpowers and returns home to mete out justice. Partly because of this, it's been said that this will be aimed at the Asian market initially, but expected to be in the United States soon after, if not straight away. But yeah, mainly going to be aimed at the Asian markets, but Stan Lee's Annihilator is on its way. It looks like Michael Chabon's Pulitzer Prize award-winning novel, The Amazing Adventures of Kavalier and Clay, is on its way to the small screen, or could be. Now, originally envisioned by Paramount Pictures as a big-budget, big-screen adaptation, the director of the movie, Stephen Daldry, has actually come out and said he thinks it would work much better as an 8-part miniseries on HBO. Now, he has read the source material, and from what I've heard from people who've read it, I mean, it's a book that I haven't read, but I'm definitely more interested in since I've heard about this story. It's a story that probably would suit a longer format than maybe a even 2.5 hour movie. So yeah, it might be a very, very good idea. The problem, Paramount Pictures would have to come to some sort of monetary arrangement with HBO because they hold the rights to the film rights of this novel. I see this as being a problem. Paramount, like all the big movie studios, like to hold on to the rights to things and make them into big budget movies. They don't want to make it into TV and line other people's pockets, or make it into TV and have a lesser a return. So I see this could be a massive issue, but if some sort of arrangement can be made, then we may see Kavalier and Clay hitting the small screen in the very near future. According to Deadline, the X-Men First Class screenwriter and wife of Jonathan Ross, Jane Goodman, is negotiating with 20th Century Fox to write the screenplay for Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. Now, as I mentioned a couple of weeks back, Tim Burton is in negotiations as well to direct this movie, and it sounds like a movie that's right up his street. Hopefully, if we get Burton as director and Goldman, who has had some success with obviously First Class and Kick-Ass on screenwriting duties, then we'll get two parties that can really do this story justice. Lionsgate and David Fincher producer Noble Jones are working on a remake of American Psycho, and a low-budget remake at that. Now, this remake that Jones will write and direct is going to be more closely linked to the novel by Bret Easton Ellis from 1991 than the 2000 thriller that we all saw, and I hope you've seen it. It's a fantastic movie starring Christian Bale. Now, although I am a fan of the novel and the movie, you know what I think about remakes, and especially a remake of a film like this, which is a cult classic. I'm a huge fan of this movie, and I don't see the point in remaking it just 11 or 12 years after it was released. Especially a low-budget remake doesn't seem to make sense to me. As far as I'm concerned, Lionsgate, don't do this. Do something else. Make another project. Maybe remake it in 40 years when it's not fresh in people's memory. American Psycho is a fantastic movie. It doesn't need a remake, in my opinion, and I'm sure quite a few other people's. It finally seems like the Man From U.N.C.L.E. has caught a break. That's because Warner Brothers are in very deep negotiations with Guy Ritchie and his new production partner, Lionel Wiggum, about replacing Steven Soderbergh on this project. Now, if Warner Brothers manage to come to some sort of arrangement, it will be the first project that Ritchie and Wiggum's new production company will work on. And after the success of the Sherlock Holmes movies that Ritchie has directed, this may be just the right thing for him. Maybe he comes in and revitalises another rebooted franchise for the big screen. After cutting $45 million from the budget of The Lone Ranger, it seems like Gorb Verbinski and Jerry Bruckheimer are busy reassembling the supporting cast for the movie. Now, Deadline reports that Disney has already sealed a deal with Bruce Wilson to star alongside Johnny Depp and Armie Hammer in the film, and is now trying to get veteran actor Tom Wilkinson to sign on as the main villain in the movie Latham Cole. There are also rumours that they are negotiating with a number of actors, including Barry Pepper, Helena Bonham Carter and Dwight Yoakam. Expect news on people signing up for this very, very quickly. I will get it to you once I know, because Disney were planning to go into production of this movie in February, so they need a quick turnaround for the entire supporting cast so that they can get this into production. As I mentioned last week, Michael Bay wants Paramount Pictures to make a movie called Pain and Gain before he will be involved in any possible new Transformers movie. Now, if you don't know much about the movie itself, basically the premise of it is there are two bodybuilders who kidnap a businessman and are then pursued by a private investigator who is hunting them down. It's been envisioned as a dark comedy, and they're looking at about a 20 million budget for the movie. So, not a huge budget in comparison to things like the previous Transformers movies, and as I say, negotiations are underway. Michael Bay has already come out and said that he wants Dwight "The Rock" Johnson and Mark Wahlberg to be the two main characters, or two of the main characters in this movie. For me, both actors are a perfect fit. They obviously have worked in these kinds of films before. They have a proven pedigree for sort of dark comedy and good choices. Expect to see news on this pretty quickly, because Paramount want to tie Bay down for that Transformers 4. Deadline reported some more news about Fox's 24 movie this week. First of all, writer Mark Bombach has until the end of the year to finish off his final draft of the script and get it to studio executives. This is because they want to get pre-production started in early January, as Kiefer Sutherland will be available to film his role as Jack Bauer in this movie from April time onwards, and they don't want to mess up, leave it too late, and then he's signed up for another movie, which would obviously put back filming of this altogether. As well as that, Fox are looking for a new director, as Tony Scott has left the project. So quite a lot for the studio Fox to do with this 24 movie. Seems like the clock really is ticking on. Finally this week, some news about the Hangover 3. Now, Bradley Cooper, on the rounds for the DVD and Blu-ray release for the second movie, has been talking a little bit about the next sequel in the Hangover franchise. Now, he's been saying that writer-director Todd Phillips is already working on a script, that it may diverge from the very popular formula seen in The Hangover 1 and 2, and it may even be set in Los Angeles. Now, this is all rumours, but he also stated that he's fairly certain that filming will start next September. All hearsay, as I say, all rumours, but it wouldn't surprise me if at least some of this is true, and that we see a Hangover 3 within the next 2 to 3 years. Okay guys, that's all for this week's Geek Movie News. As always, if you liked this, then the like button is just down there. You click on that and you let me know that you liked it. Make sure that you share this with all your friends on Twitter, on Tumblr, on Facebook, on any social networking site. Email it to them. Just get them watching. As always, drop down box there. You open that up. There is a link to both my Facebook fan page and also to my Twitter, so you can find out what's going on in the world of geek movies, in the world of geek movie news, and in the world of, well, just plain old me. If you're not subscribed, you click somewhere on this ugly mug right here, then you'll be able to subscribe to this channel, and then it'll go, videos when they go on, will go straight to your subscription box and you'll never miss one. If you did miss last week's Geek Movie News, and apologies, I don't know what happened, but some of you said that the video didn't appear in your subscription boxes. Whether this was a problem with the new YouTube, I'm not sure. I can only apologise for that. But if you did miss it, just there's a link. You can click out and watch last week's Geek Movie News. If you've missed any other videos, obviously you can go to my channel, but if you missed the last Geek Movie review, it's right there. You can click on that, you can go out and watch that as well. As always, guys, thanks for watching, thanks for all your support, and au revoir.